In my absence, the estate had been overrun by Mobius's soldiers. I hoped that they had not yet found the entrance to the crypt or discovered the body of Janos. Of Vorador, there was no sign.
Raziel, the conquering hero. I understand we ought to offer congratulations. Kain, at last, is dead.
I suppose you expect similar congratulations on the death of Vorador. Or has he eluded you?
We have him, but not without a considerable price in blood.
That will have pleased him.
Let it sustain him until his head is off, and every vampire in Nosgoth at last is dead.
And will that knowledge sustain you? You too are going to your death.
For a true servant of the one God, death is never bitter. I will go, again at peace with the knowledge that I have played my small part in our master's plans. Kain is at last destroyed, and you have carried out the deed. Which hero do you think you are now? The vampire savior, or the other one? Have you realized yet that it didn't matter to us which one either of you thought you were, so long as the result was the same in the end? And now, Kain is dead. Really, I cannot thank you enough.
So, this has all been arranged every step of the way. And Kain thought I truly had free will.
Oh, but you do. And there's the greatest triumph of all. To have compelled the one player who could choose into doing exactly what we required. Well done, faithful servant. And now, I have an execution to see to.
This relic had come at so high a cost. My blood offering for the answers I sought from this enigmatic corpse. It was the price of my freedom, for which Kain had paid with his life. Had I journeyed so far and forsaken so much, only to have it end like this?
remember. Raziel, the heir of prophecy. You came for the Reaver, just before the Seraphim found me.
You've been entombed here for 5 centuries. Your murderers are long dead.
500 years. And Vorador?
Also dead. Your bloodline is erased. The age of the vampires is coming to an end.
Then we must waste no time.
I'm not who you think I am, nor is this a benevolent act. I have questions that apparently you alone can answer.
Raziel, there are forces in this world that will strive to deceive you and pervert your destiny. But you must believe your arrival foretells the salvation of the vampire race.
Why then would the vampires devise a weapon to consume and imprison their savior?
No, that cannot be.
While the blade yet exists, I am drawn inexorably toward my doom. It was you who bound me to this fate. Only you can release me.
Raziel, you have been misled. You are ordained by prophecy to wield the Reaver.
And so I do, though not quite as you'd envisioned.
Redeemer and Destroyer. Is it possible? Did I misread all the signs? It seems your destiny is more labyrinthian than I had imagined. You must trust me, Raziel. We may have very little time. I will convey you to the place where your answers lie.
Where have you brought me?
We are within the ancient citadel of the vampire race, long ago defiled and abandoned. This fortress endured through centuries of war against our great enemy,
The Hilden.
Yes. From this chamber, we witnessed the summoning of the Pillars and the banishment of our adversaries from the land. This is a dire omen. The binding is in peril. The hour of prophecy is at hand.
It's too late. The Pillars are already damned.
As long as a single one of us stands, there is still hope. The Pillars must not remain under human guardianship. They are not competent to serve.
Why then did you allow the Pillars to fall into human hands?
Raziel, there is no time.
I want answers. The world can end this instant for all I care.
Very well. The Hilden cursed us as they fell, afflicting our race with a predatory bloodthirst. But with this transformation came our enemy's true revenge. Immortality.
They liberated you from the Wheel of Fate.
They imprisoned our souls in this flesh, expelling us from the purifying cycle of death and rebirth.
And yet you pass the curse on.
It was a necessary evil. Our immortality banished us from God's grace. He turned his sight from us and fell silent. Many took their own lives, unable to bear the separation from our God.
Not you, though.
Curse or blessing, it is the price we pay to keep the Hilden banished from the land. To sustain the binding, we had to preserve our bloodline, and so we passed the dark gift to the human successors of our fallen guardians. They rebelled, inevitably, refusing the curse and seizing the Pillars as their own. And so we come to our present dilemma. While mankind governs the Pillars, the binding decays. The Hilden strain against the barriers of their prison, scratching to gain a foothold back into this world.
And what does all this mean to me?
We stand at the threshold of a new eon, Raziel, and you are the fulcrum upon which our destiny turns. Beneath this room lies our innermost sanctum. The outer chamber has been opened. It appears events are already in motion. This token is the key to the mysteries you seek. I cannot accompany you, You must face this trial alone. If you prevail, you will have your answers.
And if I fail the test?
Then you will not return.
Golden Ouroboros. should have known I'd find you here.
Here and everywhere, now and always. I am the wheel and its turning. I am the circle of life and death.
And I am beginning to think the vampires committed suicide only to escape your voice.
Do not forego my favor with your impertinence, Raziel. You have finally fulfilled your purpose. I am pleased.
What are you trying to obliterate here, then? What is it about me that has you so afraid?
Your fate is trivial, Raziel. It was Kain's destiny that mattered all along.
I'd find you here.
Here and everywhere, now and always. I am the wheel and its turning. I am the circle of life and death.
And I am beginning to think the vampires committed suicide only to escape your voice.
Do not forego my favor with your impertinence, Raziel. You have finally fulfilled your purpose. I am pleased.
What are you trying to obliterate here, then? What is it about me that has you so afraid?
Your fate is trivial, Raziel. It was Kain's destiny that mattered all along.
Yet I am much more than I was. The veil is lifted from my sight. My spirit, united with the souls of my predecessors, is drawn here now for the final baptism of the blade. To restore balance, the sword must be rendered pure by spirit. Release me, Raziel. The Soul Reaver has the power. Release us all. For this we were called. You have done well, Raziel. But there is one more trial for you to bear. You must unite what has been set asunder. Only then will the Scion of Balance be armed for his true endeavor.
The Reaver now blazed with purifying flame, but far from being enlightened, I found myself entangled in an even greater web of mysteries. What had Janos expected me to learn? And what of Ariel's cryptic message? If the sword was endowed for the Scion of Balance, for Kain, and he was now dead, what hope remained? I needed to find Janos, and soon. I dreaded to think what these ominous rumblings might portend. Janos, what is this?
The binding is failing. All is lost.
We had arrived at that cataclysmic moment when a younger Kain faced his fateful dilemma as Balance Guardian. Choosing self-preservation over sacrifice, he doomed the pillars to eternal ruin.
Raziel, there may yet be hope. There is one who will be called. You must seek the Scion of Balance. Dear God!
Raziel, we meet again. You have played your part flawlessly. It is gratifying to attain both freedom and vengeance in a single stroke.
No! You cannot!
This one is strong. Good. My next move requires a more durable host. Mortals are such fragile vessels. Willing or not, you have provided the instrument of our victory.
I wouldn't celebrate just yet.
You pathetic creature. You haven't got a clue. The seduction of the Circle and possession of Mortanius, Ariel's murder, the corruption and collapse of the Pillars, all orchestrated as a prelude to this moment. We sought an incorruptible vessel, and you provided one. We required the blood of our ancient enemy, and you delivered Janos Audron, having first been lured to the heart of darkness. Best of all, you murdered the Scion of Balance to get it. We've already won.
Raziel, you must not allow them to carry out their plan. Kill me, and you end it now.
Suicidal like the rest of them. Know your place, Raziel. The true hero plays his role and then steps aside. You deluded ghoul. Do you so wish to die a martyr for the vampire's lost cause?
You're not leaving this chamber. I will destroy Janos if I have to.
Very well, then. I'll indulge you.
Raziel! Finish it before he returns!
You should have listened to me. Now it is finished, and thus a new epic has its beginning.
Do you see? However far you stray, you will always return to me. Surrender, Raziel.
Never!
Your efforts are wasted, Raziel. That weapon you bear, however endowed, remains only a wraith blade. It cannot touch me.
I will not be your prisoner.
You have no choice. Your task is fulfilled. Kain has been cleared from the board, and this chamber made ready for my more malleable servants. There is nothing more for you to do.
I refuse to bend my will.
It has always been my will you satisfy, never your own.
You parasitic fraud. You are forced to imprison me because I possess free will.
You possess nothing. As you are undying, your soul cannot be returned to the wheel. But it may console you to abide here in eternity with me. Mobius, my good servant, I call you to the place of our first meeting. Return to me here.
I awoke to find myself in a shadowy realm. A disquieting stillness lay where my heart had been, the heart that had belonged to Janus Audron all along. How was it possible that I still lived?
You are still very full, Vampire.
That will go first.
This realm will render you hideous.
You will go mad, and will not know it.
What is this place?
Do you not think of this place every day, vampire?
But are we truly
Forgotten.
This is the exile into which we were driven.
But soon now, soon we will be free.
We will be free.
I felt strongly drawn, compelled even, not to linger here, but to go to the vampire citadel at once. I knew what ominous hour this was in Nosgoth's history, for here was the event that had shaped my entire existence. I had cast my fate, refusing the sacrifice, damning the pillars, and founding my doomed empire upon their ruins. I would raise the Sarafan priests to be my closest lieutenants, and would one day cast the strongest of them, my servant Raziel, into the abyss, dealing one last hand to play against fate. But in the end, had it made any difference? Had I misread the signs, as Mobius told me? In my arrogance, had I missed my cast at destiny?
The Hilden are merely an inconvenient consequence. They will be dealt with in time. It is a small price to pay for Kain's death.
You're a bit premature.
Kain!
Is there a crack in your omniscience after all, Mobius? First, your omniscience, and now your powers. You're slipping badly.
This is not possible.
The part of me that staff affected is no longer in its place. But you already knew that, didn't you? I always was considered heartless. And now, Mobius, it is time.
To kill me? Again? Your only solution for every problem. Kill.
This is not a debate. You see, this time, you have nothing that I want.
You think this will matter? I serve one who has power over life and death.
Then go to him.
I am his obedient, his devoted servant. Soon, all pain will fade, and my master will bring me life once more. Master, my apologies. A momentary oversight. Somehow Kain still lives, and has unexpectedly dispatched me. Make use of your good servant, and
Go to your master, then. I release you to the wheel.
Oh, God, no.
Do you see it now? The monster that you served. Is this what you imagined when you worshipped it?
No!
And in that knowledge, go and feed it. I release you.
Your petty actions are irrelevant, Raziel. Mobius was a good servant, but he was of no further use. His long life had run its course. You see, even when you rebel, you are doing my will.
Perhaps. But something has changed, hasn't it? You didn't foresee Kain's return.
You have both traced your paths along the wheel. This is where the journey ends.
You haven't the means to kill either one of us.
Ah, but you can be stopped. And you will come to understand how oblivion can be a mercy. You and Kain will spend eternity buried here together, praying for the merciful release of a death that will never come.
But I was armed with newfound knowledge, and it burned within me.
Redeemer and Destroyer.
Mobius had never seen his master until the Soul Reaver purified his sight. Even the ancient vampires had no idea what it was they so righteously worshipped.
You must unite what has been set asunder.
All the conflict and strife throughout history, all the fear and hatred, served but one purpose: to keep my master's wheel turning. All souls were prisoners, trapped in the pointless round of existence, leading distracted, blunted lives until death returned them, always in ignorance, to the wheel.
The coin is still turning.
But what hope had there been? One cannot fight the unseen.
Only then will the Scion of Balance be armed for his true endeavor.
Despair, Raziel. There is no escape.
It was then I knew what I had to do. I alone could end this.
Kain, do you so enjoy death?
Yes.
Raziel.
No!
Yes, this is how...
No! Raziel!
The Soul Reaver, pure of all corruption. This is what it is for. This is what I am for. The two become one. Both Soul Reavers together. And the Scion of Balance is healed. And I am not your enemy, not your destroyer. I am, as before, your right hand, your sword.
No, Raziel, this can't be the way.
And now you will see the true enemy.
Raziel.
And it was then I saw.
So, I am revealed to you at last.
What in hell?
I am the origin of life, the devourer of death. I am the hub of the wheel, the purifying cycle to which all souls must be drawn.
Had I condemned Raziel to this nightmare when I cast him into the abyss?
You may ponder the futility of your ambitions as you spend a deathless eternity beneath a mountain of rubble. You and your soul reaver will go equally mad as the eons pass. The Citadel of the Apostates will become your living tomb.
Your words are heartening. For you would not fear us unless we could truly do you harm.
No! You are nothing!
False god! This is the end. The final turn of your wheel.
I will bury you. You will never break from the wheel of fate. Your broken body will be buried here for all eternity. I will bury you. Feed the wheel. I will crush you, vampire! Enough! Feed the wheel. You will never defeat me, Kain. That almost hurt. You will never defeat me, Kain. I will crush you, vampire! I will bury you cannot defeat me. I will bury Your sacrifice has been made in No! This cannot be! I will bury. Surrender, Kain. Your sacrifice has been made. You cannot destroy me, Kain. I am the engine of life itself. The wheel will turn, the plague of your kind will be purged from this world, and on that inevitable day, your wretched, stagnant abandoned soul will finally be mine.
In the meantime, you'd best burrow deep. Now at last, the masks had fallen away. The strings of the puppets had become visible, and the hands of the Prime Mover exposed. Most ironic of all was the last gift that Raziel had given me. More powerful than the sword that now held his soul, more acute even than the vision his sacrifice had accorded me. The first bitter taste of that terrible illusion. Hope.